Hey everyone, so I'm doing an interior detailing on the Corolla today, and I thought I would showcase my Mytee S300H upholstery extractor. Now I did a video on this extractor a few years ago, and it's been pretty popular. I've gotten quite a few questions about this, and what I'm starting to find is more people, whether they do detailing professionally or not, are starting to show more interest in these entry-level commercial units, something that is better and more capable than your basic $100, $200 portable upholstery extractor, but something not nearly as expensive as a massive commercial unit that's going to cost thousands of dollars. So something in the range of about $500 to $1,000, and that's right where this unit fits in. Again, this is the Mytee S300H, the H standing for heat. They have two versions of this. They have the regular one that is not heated, and this one which is heated. This one's going to cost probably about $200 more for the heating option, but I think it's well worth it. Obviously, using heat to clean any sort of upholstery obviously makes a tremendous difference and really helps the unit to work much better. So I'm going to get started. I'm primarily going to use this on the driver's seat. I'll go around the rest of the car and do it, but I'm going to focus on this video with the driver's seat. That's obviously the dirtiest. I use this car really mainly for commuting only, and the driver's seat's really the only one that really gets really dirty in there. So before I actually start using the upholstery extractor, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of pre-treatment just to loosen everything up. And I'm going to use my drill brush just to make sure everything gets nice and agitated and really works up all the dirt to really bring it to the surface. Now, I'm only using water in this extractor today. You can use solution, you can use a low foam solution if you want, but I'm just going to use the water. Like I said, the heat makes a tremendous difference. This unit has a 1 gallon hopper on it. The 1 gallon comes right up to the top here. This doesn't have a lid on it, but it's actually kind of nice. You can just look over and kind of see where your water level is. I'm using distilled water in this to help keep scale from building up. You don't have to use distilled water, but I do just so it doesn't start to get that scaliness build up inside of the water line itself. Now, getting this thing fired up is very easy. It's got a nice 25-foot cord on it with a light on the end, so you know you got power. When you want to get this thing going, you basically just turn the pump on, and you're going to want to bleed the air out of the line and then put the water back into the top of the hopper. Just like that. You'll usually hear a little bit of a difference in the motor once the water's out of it. So then I'll turn the heater on. The heater takes obviously a little bit of time to build up since the water's basically at room temperature. This does get very hot. This has a nice pad on here to keep your hand from getting too hot. You also have this plastic cover over the coupler. This does get very, very hot. It will burn your hands. So this thing, like I said, the heat makes the world of difference on this. And when you're basically ready to extract, you'd have the pump on, then you turn the heat on. Obviously, I have it on now just to help the heater build up some temperature. And then you turn the vacuum on, and you're basically just ready to extract. It works pretty much the same way any other extractor works. This one has the clear head on it, which I like. The stainless steel ones look very nice, but the problem is you can't kind of see where you're at when you're going. This being a clear head on it, you can kind of see where you're going, see how much dirt and how much moisture you really have left in the area that you're working with. So I like the setup on this thing. It works very well. I use this around the house as well. I use it on the couches, really anything with upholstery on it that you just can't put in a washing machine. I'll basically use this to keep everything clean. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start working on that driver's seat. All right, so let's spray this thing down with a little bit of pre-treatment first. A little bit messy, but as to be expected. If you're wondering about the lighting that I have in here, I have my Milwaukee underhood light. Works really good for interior detailing. So get this thing nice and soaked. So you spread this around a little bit. I hit this with the drill brush. The seat wasn't too bad, but it needs a little bit of a hit. It's starting to get a little dirty. So I'm also going to use my dehumidifier in here just to help dry the seats out a little bit faster, because you really can't get all the moisture out of these things. So I'll just hit this with the drill brush real quick just to agitate it. Okay, it looks pretty good. This is obviously the white bristle ones. This is the soft ones designed for upholstery like this. They obviously have lots of more aggressive ones, but I don't want to go too aggressive. This isn't that dark, and I don't want to really damage the seats at all. So Okay, that's pretty good. It's really just the front and the center was a little dirty. So we'll get started with the extractor now. It's going to be about as loud as a vacuum. The vacuum in it really is what makes all the noise. The heater doesn't make any noise, and the pump makes a tiny bit. So the heater's on. It's heating the water now, so we'll go pump on and vacuum on. Okay, so, I mean, that's the nice thing about this being as clear like it was. You can really see it pulling up the upholstery extractor to it. Again, this was water only, so all the foam and the suds you see was all from the stuff that I just sprayed onto the seat itself. So, you can't get that last little bit of dampness out of this. When I did my video a few years ago and I tested it against a much more powerful standard vacuum that had a lot more suction, it wouldn't pull any more moisture out of this. So that's just one of the things with using these extractors is you're getting a little bit of dampness. This car's got to sit for at least a few hours to dry out. So I have my dehumidifier here, like I said, so I'll let this car sit in here with the windows down for a while, let everything dehumidify. I'll go through and do the rest of the seats separately. They're really not too bad. They really don't need any. I'll do a little bit of scrubbing on them, but they don't need too much. But like I said, this is my commuter car, so really the driver's seat is all that sees a lot of action. So I'll do the also the back side of the seat here just to show this thing in action a little bit more, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. All right, so final thoughts. Is the Mytee S300H Tempo something you should be considering? I think that depends on what you're looking at and what is important to you in an extractor. From a performance standpoint, I think this unit is definitely worth the money. You are getting into commercial grade upholstery extractors without the huge price tag. You can usually find these models, even these heated models, for under $1,000. And like I said, you are getting a commercial grade machine with commercial grade performance. This thing is going to far exceed the capabilities of your standard handheld upholstery extractor that's going to cost a few $100s that you're going to find at the department store. I mean, you saw in the video the steam coming off this thing when you're using it. It gets very hot, the heater is very effective, and the vacuum power is very strong. I mean, you can obviously see how well this thing worked in the video. It's also not too large. As you can see, it's the size of a small vacuum. So whether you're a weekend warrior, you do some detailing in your garage and you're just maybe starting out in with a business, or maybe you do portable detailing, you can easily put this in the back of a car, a pickup truck, a van. You can load it, unload it with one hand by yourself, and it's not a problem. Big commercial units are great because they have a lot of capabilities, but aside from them being very expensive, usually thousands of dollars, they're not really portable. So where you put them is where they're going to need to be used. So you really can't bring them anywhere if you need transportability. This thing offers that, and you're still getting a very high level of performance. You're not really sacrificing performance for transportability. That's another thing I like about this thing. Now, one thing to keep in mind, with this unit being so high performance, it requires additional maintenance, just like anything that is relatively high performance. So you don't just dump the water out of this thing and just throw it in the closet and forget about it. You need to really make sure you clean this thing out very thoroughly and take good care of it, because it's not a cheap machine. And usually when I clean this thing, I will make sure I take the hose, I will backfeed water through this thing and make sure I blast all the contaminants out of the hose, out of the nozzle. I'll use my air compressor and I'll push air through this to make sure I have no standing water left inside the hose itself. The unit itself, after I dump the water out of it, I'll open this up. There's a little foam screen in here to keep debris out of it. So before I even start using this thing, I make sure I vacuum the car thoroughly to avoid picking up unnecessary contaminants. I'll then flow extra water through the recovery tank and then out here. So any dirt, debris, soap, any junk that's in here gets flushed out so we have a nice clean unit, and I don't leave any water inside of it as well. You also want to make sure you use a system maintainer. This is essentially citric acid, so it helps keep the unit nice and clean. It helps from keeping that scale buildup inside of it. That's why I try to use the distilled water in this thing whenever possible, just to keep the unit in good shape. So it requires a little bit more maintenance, but it rewards you in the additional performance that this thing is going to give you. So I think this is great, like I said, for anybody who doesn't want to spend a tremendous amount of money, but wants a really good performing upholstery extractor. They can use not only on the cars, I use this on, whether I use this on the couches, I use this on the lawn furniture. It does a really great job keeping all my upholstery very clean. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.